The Nigerian Christians have been attacked by Islamic regime, and finally someone is speaking now, none other than Donald Trump. And I think this is great, and I pray as we dive into these details, we're going to be reacting to what in the world is actually going on in Nigeria, and we need to be praying for these Christians. So let's get right into it, guys.
Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands and thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. That's a legal definition. When the Christians or any such group is slaughtered, like is happening in Nigeria, 3,100 versus 4,476 worldwide. What horrible numbers. Something has to be done. I am asking Congressman Riley Moore, together with Chairman Tom Cole and the House Appropriations Committee, to immediately look into this matter and to report back to me. And I mean, like, immediately.
Wow.
The United States cannot stand by while such atrocities are happening in Nigeria and numerous other countries. It's not only Nigeria, it's all over. We stand ready, willing, and able to save our great Christian population around the world. This is not going to happen. The killing of Christians is not going to happen.
That is absolutely amazing. Guys, we've talked about this before. Christians around the world are being persecuted. We don't know what it's like, but around the world, they do. They could totally be justified to say that they're in the end times and they're going through persecution and tribulation. That's how bad it is. So we have a few things that we're going to be reacting to. First, a pastor proving that there's something else going on. And it's scary. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because Trump mentioned this. Now people who don't like Trump are saying, we're not killing Christians. It's wild. But there's proof.
Nigerian government came out openly and denied there is no massacre. There is no genocide of Christians in Nigeria. And look at it today.
We blurred out the bodies there. Nigeria's government says it protects citizens of all faiths. Islamic gunmen actually kill Muslims as well, and there is no genocide specifically of Christians, although more than 7,000 Christians, Michael, have been reported killed there in just the first 7 months.
7,000. Those are the people who are afraid, not Muslims. No Muslims are making videos saying that they're being persecuted and killed in their sleep or bombing their churches. No, it's all Islamic Christians. 7,000. That's way too many. That's terrible. And here's a video of the Christian pastor again pleading to America to help them because their own government is not helping them. That's why this is such a big win.
For us, we are dying. Yesterday, one of my colleagues, Reverend, was slaughtered with his wife and his children.
Josh, some of the vision we've seen is among the most horrific savagery you can imagine. Mothers holding their terrified children, begging for mercy. And
yeah, it's complete disgust. So now I want to go to a video from What Do You Meme explaining what in the world is going on and why are people saying that there are not Christians being persecuted in Nigeria.
Someone who spent years working directly with the persecuted Christians in Nigeria. And that led me to Ryan Brown, who's the CEO of Open Doors, which is one of the largest organizations tracking persecution worldwide.
There has been a lot of talk here recently, and even some of this being pushed forward by the Nigerian government, trying to say that the violence is not religiously motivated, that is not a factor. It is a complicated situation there. Nobody doubts that. Nobody debates that. There are multiple things that come into play. But one of the things that is certain is that motivation to harm and to kill Christians has certainly been a driving factor in many of these actions that we're seeing.
Now, he's right. This is complicated, but not in the ways that you might think. The explanation that most Western media latch onto is what's called the farmer-herder conflict. The basic claim is that climate change and resource scarcity have driven herders south into farmland, causing clashes over land and water.
In central Nigeria, majority Muslim herders have repeatedly clashed with majority Christian farmers, and the conflict is frequently portrayed as inter-religious, but generally stems from competition over land access.
Okay, now that's true, But it's not really the whole truth, because when you look closer, the pattern doesn't fit resource conflict nearly as well as it fits targeted persecution. I mean, you have militants shouting Allahu Akbar, churches are being burned, attacks have been timed for Christmas, Easter, and Palm Sunday, and survivors are ordered to convert or be executed.
Wow.
After a massacre inside of his church, one local bishop said, 40 of my people weren't killed because of global warming, but because they were Christians. And another priest described it as a slow genocide, and yet most Christians have never heard these details because our media often filters them out.
Everyone wants to blame it on some other reasoning, but no one wants to hold accountability that Muslims are killing Christians. And that's why people are so afraid of when this mayor of New York City is a Muslim. What if he starts actually following what the Quran says? That's scary. That is legitimately scary. Not gonna lie.
Now, if you look at the data in the real sense of the word, has more of the non-Christian faith who are victims of this.
Several outlets have been reporting that it's mostly Muslims being killed, and statistically, they're actually right, but also very wrong. You see, their argument relies on data from the ACLED, which is one of the main conflict databases used by the media. But what they don't realize is what the statistics left out. Most of them were taken from Nigeria's far north, where most Christians have already fled from. So while it's true that more Muslims die there, that's only because there's hardly any Christians left. So this is incomplete reporting, which is starting to look a little bit more like a pattern. If you notice how these major outlets have covered the violence over the years, you can see how these headlines often mute the truth. For example, 2011, the Christmas bombings. The New York Times warned against demonizing Boko Haram. 2022, a church massacre. NPR called it a pastoral conflict. And in 2023, during a Christmas massacre, CNN and The Guardian left out the word Christmas. And even more recently, Palm Sunday of 2025, they reported it happened on a Sunday, but not which Sunday. So it's because of these reasons and more that people have accused these outlets of being biased and promoting silence. And then you have the outlets saying things like this.
These insurgents and Boko Haram people, they do not make distinction between the Christians or Muslims.
And this is where you start to see just how important it is for them to get this right, because a lot of these outlets are claiming that the killings are indiscriminate. But that only works if you ignore population, which changes the picture entirely. The ORFA actually adjusted violence ratios according to regional demographics, and what they found completely destroys this equal suffering narrative. Because in every region of Nigeria, Christians are killed far more often than Muslims. In just the Northwest alone, we see a 7.5 to 1 ratio, meaning Christians there are 7 times more likely to be killed than their Muslim neighbor.
Wow.
And the same thing shows up in kidnappings. When researchers looked at the documented abductions, Christians were targeted nearly 10 times as often as Muslims. So the truth is, this isn't merely indiscriminate violence. Trump was right. This is Christian persecution.
Shout out to What Do You Mean? We've been praying for the Christians there, that they will be saved. It's undeniable that there isn't persecution, Christian persecution in Nigeria. And the fact is why there's so many high numbers for Muslim people is because there's hardly any Christians left. They're driving them out. They're getting rid of them. And now we're going to hear from a Nigerian journalist, and he's going to expose these massacres from CBN.
Happening in Nigeria. So can you tell us what is going on right now?
What is going on is devastation, degradation, and dehumanization of Christians, indigenous Christians, Christians who are locals, who are natives, Christians whose grandfather, great-grandfather were born in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria.
Wow.
Christians who are owners of the land. Today, what is happening is that they have been dispossessed. They have been dislodged and dislocated from their lands.
Dang.
And how is it happening? Fulani herdsmen are kidnapping them, then extorting money, worth millions of naira in Nigerian currency. Hundreds of millions of naira have been extorted from families whose members are kidnapped. And then, after a while, these families go broke, searching for money to pay as ransom. Now, what is happening again, like I said, these terrorists, and they are Fulanis who are Muslims. They come to the houses of people, they shoot dead either the father, and then they'll grab the children, who may be normally 5 or 6, and then they leave the mother, and then after 2-3 days, they'll send a text message or a cell message to the mother and say, look, yes, we kidnap your kids. We're asking for a ransom of 100 million. If you cannot pay, we will execute them one by one. We are giving you 2 weeks to do that.
Wow.
And that is what is happening. And in the process, some of these girls are raped.
Oh, wow.
The men are brutalized. They are beaten. They are chained hands to leg. You understand? They don't go. When they want to take a pee, the pee where they are chained. When they want to go and, if they want to do anything, they do that. And I have seen and I've asked, and they've told me, a lot of these victims, not one, not two, but up to 20, 30, they say, look, we don't eat food maybe twice in 2 weeks. They feed us maybe twice in 2 weeks. Some of them say we live only on grasses and mango leaves, and by the time they are released, a lot of them could not walk. So you see, now, and this kidnapping is happening every day. Every day somebody is murdered, not one, not two. Every day a household is murdered. Somebody from a household is murdered, another one from another compound is murdered, and the household are carted away into a forest in Kaduna called Rijana, which the government is very much aware of, and it's not doing anything. And now, like I told you, when they are taken into this forest, they are brutalized, and then the members of their family start looking for money to pay. And after all, when they secure the release of these persons, what really happened is this: they have no cash, so they have to sell their lands, their farmlands. They turn to beggar. And who buys the land? Probably the relatives of the people that kidnapped them.
That is beyond heartbreaking, my brother. So the question is, for a lot of people in the West, they want to know: is this a land dispute, or is this persecution because they're Christians?
Well, it is simply persecution because they are Christians, number one, and so that they can grab their lands. Now, I will tell you something, Raj. I am from the northern part of Nigeria, and I'm a Christian. My state, Benue, where I come from, we have over 92% population which are Christians. Where I live in northern Nigeria, the place is called Kaduna. That place is evenly divided between Christians and Muslims. Now, what the government do not like, what northern governors do not like, is that they don't want to know, they don't like hearing that, they have indigenous Christians who are northerners. They don't want that. So that they can tell the world that, look, Nigeria is divided into Christian North, Christian South, and Christian North. But unfortunately, we have over 40 million Christians who are in the North, who are indigenous to the North. But they don't enjoy what Muslims in the North enjoy. So the Fulani terrorists take advantage of this and start exterminating those people, taking them away from their land, kidnapping them and killing them. Then when, after continuous attacks, killing, the Christians will now be forced to run away from their indigenous land. When they run and they go away, the Fulanis will come and occupy the land and then rename the land. So you see that? It is persecution, it is land grabbing, it is kidnapping, it is all whatnot.
So you mentioned that this happens often. How often does this happen? How long has this been happening? Can you maybe give me an example or two of the massacres that you've seen after it happened?
Well, first of all, let me answer how long it has been happening. As a reporter, I noticed this around 2015 under the administration of a president called Muhammadu Buhari. The Muslims who were not indigenous to our lands, before Buhari came in, we don't see Muslims, we don't see Fulani extremists or headers in our areas before now. Then all of a sudden we started seeing them, and then they started grazing on our lands, and if you complain, they could shoot you or they could behead you. And when you report, the police does nothing. But if you take action against them, you are arrested. That was under President Muhammadu Buhari. And so before you know it again, It started on and then kidnapping, then attacks, heavy attacks. We have a lot of attacks. I don't know where to start from. I don't know which examples to give you. I can say it's in southern Kaduna. For southern Kaduna has in between 2016 and 2023 has experienced more than 300 brutal attacks, with villages had been wiped out.
Wow.
And it is reoccurring in Benue. It is happening in Benue too. In Benue, there was a time 88 persons were murdered in one bloody night.
Oof.
Yeah, in a night. That was in 2017 or 2018. And when they were asked, the leaders of the headers said, well, we have to kill these people because they killed our cattle. It's there in the news. Eight Christians we are murdered, we are massacred in a night, in 2018. And when the governor was burying them, giving them mass burial, the president of the country got angry, said, you are putting us on the spotlight. You are painting Nigeria black by burying Christians in the night. In the open, where the media is happening. Now, as a reporter, as a conflict reporter, in 2023, I went to a county in Benue State, and the county is called Ukum County, that we call it local government area in Nigeria. I heard there was a massacre. 72 persons were killed by Fulani herdsmen, and the news, and it was not on news. So, and the Reverend Father called me and told me, look, Mike, I want you to come and see what is happening in our land. You are from Benue, please. Tell Truth Nigeria, we want you to come. So when I got to Ukum, that is in Benue, in Ukum County, we started going deep into the forest region. Now, I don't know, the police checkpoint and the military checkpoint from where I was going to could be almost 3 hours drive. And as we were moving into this county, and I told this reverend, I said, Reverend Father, you know we could be at risk. He said, yeah, but my cassock and God, through Christ Jesus, will protect us. So, and as we move deep into the forest, people started coming out. They will peep and look. That is the Reverend Father's hillocks. That's Reverend Jacob's hillocks. And they started coming out. They were hiding as a result of the massacre. They left their settlement and they were hiding deep inside the forest.
Wow.
And they said, oh, Father, please wait for us. We have my son. He's 3 years old. Let me go and bring him. And that was how the hillocks was jam-packed.
Man, so that's the real story. People are getting persecuted and they're using Christians as a way to get land. No matter how you look at it, it's evil. No matter what their reasoning for killing Christians is evil. It doesn't matter. So we got to continue to be praying for people in Nigeria and all over the world. People are being persecuted. We got to pray for them to help them to continue to be safe in very difficult circumstances. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I encourage you to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. And always remember, Jesus loves you.